Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome on over to another episode of the Speak the Truth podcast. My name's Matt Tardio, and I'm glad you guys are here today because we have some very important topics that we're going to be covering. We're going to be going over the MS-13 arrest here in the United States of America that is spreading all over the flipping news, and we are going to be going over what's taking place inside Gaza. We finally got some airstrikes. IDF is clearly inside of Rafah at this point in time and have taken out some pretty major targets there as well. And the main thing we're going to focus on here in just a little bit is we're going to be talking specifically about the Iranian threat. I know I had mentioned it the other day that it is very possible that all of the B-2 Spirit bombers that we moved into Diego Garcia, 8 of them, up to 8 B-2 Spirit bombers. The U.S. only has 20 of these suckers in inventory. We don't even know how many are operational, but we moved up to 8 of them into Diego Garcia. We got 3 of them on satellite imagery. Now, why would I be worried about the USA bombing the hell of Iran? You're going to find out. It's going to be done by the IAEA and some statements that were made over at the Senate yesterday on new intel that ended up coming out and what all of that means. It's freaking scary. I'm not going to lie. I think the United States might be going to war with freaking Iran. Like, I'm not kidding. Like, that's about, I think that might be going down. Nick Smith, howdy, brother. Dude, what's up, Nick? How you guys doing this morning? I hope you guys are having a good morning to all my true supporters. I know I'm about an hour late, but again, there's so much stuff that I had to go over today. I think it was just super important to make sure that I get this particular story right because of everything that we're going to be talking about. So welcome on in, ladies and gents. It's good to have you. I'm happy to see you guys here. Let's go ahead and start talking about it. Pam Bondi ends up coming out today. We have some major ICE arrests that took place. Major. National leader, according to her, national leader of MS-13 ends up getting captured. It's freaking wild. Brian Hudson coming in and gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Appreciate you, brother. Appreciate you. I hope you guys can hear me okay. Let's go ahead and get Miss Pam Bondi up on the screen so that you guys can hear what the heck is going on.
Reaction is all of our law enforcement officers are safe. That was the number one thing. They're safe. They executed a clean, safe operation and the bad guys in custody. And thanks to the FBI, we got one of the worst of MS-13 off the streets this morning.
We were able to be out here in force to show the American people to be here in person that this means a lot to her and the mission. Safety is our primary concern of these communities, and we effectuated that today.
First reaction is...
Well, thank you guys. Thank you very much for making sure that the FBI is allowed to do their job and go after these insane freaking criminals. Now, what should absolutely rest in peace headphones. Yeah, sorry guys, you need me to turn that down a little bit. I'll do that. It seemed like it was a little bit quieter on my end, but you know, I could crank it down just a couple decibels. It's okay. So video is very loud. Got it. Problem solved. Just moved it down. So what is the major concern with this guy, right? Major concern number one is that we have all of these major arrests taking place. And that's not the only portion of it that I'm going to tell you guys about when it comes to this MS-13 member, because all they're identifying him as is a national leader of MS-13. That's it. We haven't released a name, anything like that. And there's a reason for it. Top viral, brother. I don't know if, number one, you called me Tardio. I also don't know who you are. And, yeah, that's not going to be a thing. I mean, I appreciate the comment asking me to marry you on a YouTube live session, but yeah, that's just not going to happen. Let's listen to Cash.
This is what happens when you let good cops be cops. And we're going to continue to let good cops be cops across this country. President Trump gave us the executive decision to go after and safeguard our communities. General Bondi is our warrior of justice leading that charge. Governor Youngkin, it's an honor to be a partner in this operation with you and U.S. Attorney Siebert. This is a mandate we have. Right now we have an American dying every 7 minutes from a drug overdose. That is a national security crisis we have not seen ever before. We have a woman or child being raped every 6.5 minutes in this country. We have a homicide twice an hour. No part of that metric is a safe and secure America. But thanks to the brave leadership of this administration and the folks that you see here, we are returning our communities to safety. As you heard, we took down this morning a top leader of MS-13. That is not done easily. That is done with brilliant law enforcement.
Now, Dakota ends up coming in and saying, so when they say Iran is a week away from being able to make nuclear weapons, what does that mean exactly? There were 2 weeks away last year. So you have the U.S. intelligence assessments when it goes down to them, and I'm going to talk about all of this in depth. I'm going to show you guys the reports. We're going to go over it. We're going to talk about it. But when it goes down to the U.S. intel assessments versus the IAEA is what's kind of being used in the international courts to kind of justify that Iran is going to be in violation of the NPT, right? Or maybe not violation, what do they call it? Non-compliance with the NPT like they're supposed to be. And they detailed all that in a report that dropped at the end of last month. I didn't catch it, and I don't know if anybody else caught it either, because it's kind of a big deal. You don't just get to violate the NPT. You don't just get to hide freaking enriching uranium. And the IAEA last year put out some scary information. They assessed last year that all of these things would be done within about 30 days once Iran had put on 135 new centrifuges. They'd be able to make nuclear weapons within 30 days, but that's not it. Let's stick over to this and Kash Patel real quick, because why is it, ladies and gentlemen, why, oh why, can Kash just now come out and say, listen, this is a big deal, and this is what happens when law enforcement's actually allowed to do their job? I kind of agree with Kash on this one. Why is it just now that our law enforcement officers are being allowed to do their job? I think there's going to be some other things that are going to be going on inside, like the Department of Justice, over inside of the FBI, and everything else. Because if they had this much intel, I want you to think about the amount of arrests that they've been able to get since they have started this crap. If they have been able to do this so quickly and get all of this crap done, then why wasn't it being done last year? How come we didn't see these major arrests? Maybe they were taking place and we just weren't made aware of them, right? There is a reason they're not releasing this guy's name right now and telling you exactly who he is. And they're not going to be stating where he's going. He's a dangerous human being, right? And he's responsible for very particular things. I mean, they're going to be able to figure it out, right? Here's what Fox said about it. Top MS-13 leader arrested in Virginia. U.S. authorities have captured MS-13's top leader for the East Coast, the FBI announced Thursday. But again, I said Pam Bondi came out and said that he was a national leader, so not just the East Coast, but apparently has all that going on. Reading Rambo says, no notifications again. Very interesting you say that, Reading Rambo, because also today, I discovered in the last 2 or 3 days that people have just been randomly getting unsubscribed, and then I watch them resubscribe. So guys, make sure that if you are subscribed to the channel, that you're subscribed to the channel. Right? And you should be subscribed to this channel anyways for all the crap that we're going to be going over today. This man was 24. This is what we know about him. He was 24 years old. He was from Woodbridge, Virginia. All right. Just outside of Washington, D.C. And they haven't released his name yet, but they say he's one of the top 3 leaders of MS-13 in the United States. MS-13 is a massive, massive, massive criminal organization. It's huge. And what Kash said about the amount of Americans that are dying. Here it is, right here. What Kash said about the amount of Americans that are dying from fentanyl and everything else, that is a very big deal. And it should be a national security concern. If you don't believe me, go talk to any parent that's actually lost their kids. That's a huge freaking problem of what's going on. So congratulations to the FBI for a job well executed, job well done. We greatly appreciate y'all out there busting your butt and doing your jobs every single day. I don't think law enforcement in this country gets the praise and recognition that they actually deserve. They've been crapped on a lot over the last 5 years. The FBI has been crapped on a lot, but I promise you, these men and women of the Bureau are doing the best that they can. I think they all have the best of intentions, but like any other organization, you're going to have corruption that goes within them. Now, just a couple hours ago, Israel ends up having a ballistic missile, what's being now reported as 2 ballistic missiles that were fired at them from Yemen by the Houthis, yet again, and this is following persistent airstrikes by the United States of America. Ever since Israel decided to go into Gaza, the Houthis have been firing ballistic missiles at them. Ever since they went back into Gaza, within hours, the Houthis were firing ballistic missiles at Israel, and they've continued to do it almost on a daily basis. And the U.S. has been in a relentless bombing campaign against them. And just a couple weeks ago, Trump had warned Iran to stop the nonsense with the Houthis. Iran has been supplying them down in Yemen with all of the components, guidance systems, munitions, and things like that necessary to be carrying out such attacks. These attacks are serious. These are not little freaking ballistic missiles, ladies and gentlemen. These right here, this is from the ballistic missiles that Iran had fired earlier today. They did make it into Israeli territory. Oh my God. Texas is in the house today, bringing out his big schlong, gifting out 50 Speak the Truth memberships. Call sign Texas. Good to see you, brother. Thank you very much. You just made a lot of people happy, bro. Made a lot of people happy, bro. Here's your ballistic missiles. All right. Now, yesterday, the Houthis had fired a ballistic missile at Israel. Didn't happen to make it out of Yemeni territory. This one did. And it came pretty dang close to hitting a bunch of civilians. Palestinians, as a matter of fact, believe it or not, they don't care what the hell they're hitting. They have no idea where to get it from. What's being reported, where this sucker ended up splashing down? It landed in the Palestinian area of Hebron. Hebron? Yeah, Hebron. I always screw that up. Hebron. Landed in the Palestinian area of Hebron. That's a huge, 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 huge problem. Those ballistic missiles that they continue to fire and their inability to cease, and all of the B-2 Spirit bombers moving down into Diego Garcia, are what should be raising a large concern for everybody. If you guys didn't see it last night, and go pull it up for you, in case you guys missed this, and we're going to go over, we're going to talk about what's inside Gaza, all right, here in just a sec. That's what we're going to do. If you guys didn't see this, you're about to. All right, it's kind of a big deal. Showed this last night. This was taken, what, 2 days ago? Over Diego Garcia. There's our Spirit bombers. There's your proof. And we got a couple clamshells set up. So, assuming, because we know how many were kind of like en route over there, but now we've got confirmation that they're over there, along with some refueling tankers. Not that it matters, right? Not that it matters, because they can strike Yemen and they can strike Iran with the operational range on these suckers as is. They have the ability to fly over like Yemen, go up and around the Middle East, bomb the shit out of Iran, and just make a giant circle. Like, I don't think people realize the strategic significance of these things, right? Like, let's just go ahead and point this out real quick for everybody. And then I'm going to jump back over into Israel. Let's just point out this freaking strategic significance of these dang things and where they're going to be going and what they're going to be doing. When we talk and we say that this is a big deal because the Houthis, again today, decided it'd be a good idea to freaking fire more ballistic missiles. Let me get this up on your map. You'll see it right down here. Here we go. So there's Diego Garcia. And we can take it and we can measure distance. Boom. Boom. Yemen, 2,500. Oh, by the way, we have refueling tankers as well. We can come down and we can refuel right over top of there and make our butts all the way back down. If they really wanted, they can make a complete loop. You're looking at about 6,000 miles round trip. If they really wanted, the United States has the ability to do that. But also, as far as operational distance is concerned, we can send certain ones over into Yemen, and we can also send certain ones up over into Iran. We can do whatever the hell we want. And you got to remember, too, these things, they have a little bit of a standoff distance if they absolutely want to send them out. We're going to talk about all that here in just a sec. Let's go back over into the Houthis, because this is absolutely important. The Houthis sending this ballistic missile, and then we're going to go into Gaza here in just a sec. Yeah, Nancy, I see you down there. Thank you. You are the only channel for the truth. Thank you, Matt. Absolutely. Of course. This is what I like to do. I like to do analysis. This is what took me so long to get on this morning. This is why I'm an hour late. I very apologize. YouTube shadow ban conservatives. You aren't the first channel of the conservatives I've heard this from. Yeah, I'm aware, man. Like the moment we started taking off again, they started crushing us again. Matt, that is a pack 3. Amazing. Thank you for identifying that. Oh, that's the interceptor. That's the interceptor. That's the problem. Well, thank you for identifying for that. I don't know everything, so that would be the pack 3 interceptor. That's good to know. Hit to kill technology. Pack 3 uses its hit to kill approach, meaning it destroys incoming threats. So that's the pack 3 interceptor. In case you guys are wondering what that looks like, I'll just pull this up here on your screen and I can show you exactly what I put up and told you that was a freaking ballistic missile. I'm not sure if that's true. I'm gonna have to look that up. But this would be the pack 3, and I don't have the time on the live session to do that. But that's being reported as a ballistic missile. It might be the pack 3. Now that you mention it, and now that you look at it, yeah, we'll take a look at that in here. Look, regardless of all of that crap going on, we have some serious issues, and on top of that, we've got more propaganda that's being put out. These numbers ended up getting put out by the Gaza Health Ministry of Health, whatever. Hamas ends up putting this stuff out. And these are their latest numbers that they are reporting for coming out of Gaza. They say Hamas issued a new list, 50,021 deaths so far being reported in Gaza. They say fatalities age ranges are between 13 and 55. 70% of those are men. Teenagers, males, between the ages of 13 and 17 account for 65% of the deaths. 65%, according to Hamas. National deaths are 8,300 total. That's what they're saying. That is a massive amount of child soldiers on the front. When we started pointing it out on this channel, all of a sudden they started to disappear again. I started having other people post it and talk about it, and they started disappearing. When you have that many child soldiers, and you saw the child soldiers when they were doing the body exchange last month, when they're swapping bodies and they're swapping prisoners, hostages for prisoners, right? When they're swapping those, we saw those young child soldiers. But when we talk about the protests that are taking place over inside Gaza, that is a huge, significant increase, right? When we bring up those pictures of the frickin' these protests, they're still ongoing and they're getting bigger, by the way. Why would they be doing it? And everybody's saying I hear some people that are trying to say it's a psyop. For some reason, we're not trying to do that. That's not what's actually taking place. So over inside Gaza, those protests aren't actually protests. That's a huge stage to try to keep people from like going in there, trying to keep the IDF like out of Gaza. I don't think that's true at all. I think the IDF, number one, is doing a pretty decent freaking job. And we're not getting a lot of views of airstrikes or anything like that. But these protests are direct in line with those numbers that Hamas released. I want you to take a look at all of the men in this crowd. Those are all men over inside Gaza, right? Because the women aren't going to be allowed to go out and do that crap. AMS, CPCC, welcome. But the women aren't going to be allowed to do it. What do you suppose the average age of some of those people are out there that you see down here in this crowd? There's a lot of young boys. There's not a lot of men. Take a look at it. Not a lot of young boys, not a lot of men. A lot of young boys, not a lot of men. Why? Because a lot of the men ended up getting killed off in the fighting, and now Hamas has taken the young boys and sent them up over to the front line. 14 to 17, appreciate that. 17 says Tony Davis. Right. So the initial estimates that ended up coming out of Gaza, right? Well, maybe not initial estimates, but we can go all the way back to August. And we can base some intelligence that Israel took off the battlefield inside of Khan Yunis, and we can say that, 50% of this particular unit, it was a battalion commander that got killed, and he wrote a letter up over to Sinwar back before Sinwar got his freaking forehead turned into canoe, right? Or his face got aerated, however you want to say it. So before that happened, this battalion commander inside Al-Quds Brigade ended up writing to Sinwar and told him that 50% of his force had been KIA or WIA, that 25% had defected, and that they're running out of munitions and everything else. That was an official statement. They ended up Israel, the IDF, ended up releasing that statement. So we know that down in Khan Yunis, that's what took place there. But we can't just rely on that for a sole source of information for how many freaking Hamas fighters are left over inside Gaza. Started the conflict, 35 to 40,000, depending on whose intelligence assessment that you want to read, talking about how many of them are left. All right. Additionally, when we start looking at that, then we have the IDF's estimates that were coming out about that time of how many enemy combatants were either KIA or WIA, and they put it in the vicinity of 20,000 because you don't have an exact way. If you've ever fought in a war, you're going to understand why I'm saying that. We're not going to get into a discussion about battle damage assessments, target analysis, and all that other crap. So they put it right around 20,000. So they would have knocked out about 50%. That goes direct in line with what the battalion commander was saying. And you apply that across the field, and you can assess that only about 50% of Hamas was remaining. So anywhere between 17 to 20,000 fighters? But 25% of the force also defected. So let's do that again. Brings it down to 10,000. Estimated. We're talking best case scenario that they ended up having. So yeah, when we start throwing this out there and you see nothing but a bunch of young boys that are marching in the street and everything else, they're probably trying to save their lives. That's my assessment on that. Somebody was asking me about this the other day. My other assessment, as far as it goes to these young boys over inside of Gaza, has to do with the Israeli intelligence community and the timing of entering in Khan Yunis and the timing of entering Biat La Joya up in the north. Let's go ahead and get that stuff up on the screen because now we've got freaking videos coming out of Rafah. Let me get this up. Let's go zoom back in here. Let me clear this measurement off the screen. Let me clear that measurement. Let me just get this garbage off. Let me get you guys up. So now let's go zoom in and take a look. If you guys didn't know, that's Yemen. That's Israel. Let's just turn it over to a freaking better style map. There's Yemen. There's Israel. And all the way down in this tiny little southern corner, you have Gaza. You can't even, I mean, it's nothing. I've made this comparison before. It's about the size of the city of Las Vegas, roughly. It's within a few square kilometers. It's like the closest city that you're going to find in the United States that people know, right? So now we have confirmation that the IDF has gone into Khan Yunis, second largest city inside Gaza, and we have major uprisings taking place there from all these people protesting. We have confirmation, right, of the IDF going into northern Gaza, over in Biat Lahaya and Biat Lahon, right outside of Jabalia, however you want to say it, all right? And we also have confirmation the other day down here, all right, that the freaking Nazarene Corridor South, all right, so the Nazarene Corridor South, basically you find the Shifa Hospital and just go, okay, it's going to be south of this little point right here. So the Nazarene Corridor South, all the way down here, has been shut off. People are no longer allowed to travel up and down. And that's coming from like just open source intel that we can find online that Palestinians are reporting on and Palestinians are talking about. So they're isolating all of these objectives and they're going to start pushing. And they are. Down over here inside Rafah, you're about to see a video that's going to come out of there about what the IDF is moving on. It's freaking insane. And you have all of these people rising up and protesting. And then we get these numbers from the health ministry that explains to you that their youth is the vast majority of the KIA because they don't differentiate between Hamas fighters and civilians. They also don't differentiate between collateral damage that's been caused by Hamas firing their stupid rockets, mortars, machine guns, and all that crap, not knowing what the hell they're doing. Dude, we could chop this number down so far, it's not even funny. You can easily assess like 30 or 3,000 civilian casualties caused by Hamas. Easily. You don't even need to do it, though. That's how good of a job Israel was doing. And now they're opening up. Kenneth says, everyone, do not forget, we have a B-52, A-10, F-35s, F-22s in the region, as well as Ohio-class sub and carrier strike group as well. U.S. is prepared. Correct. Everybody wants to forget that the U.S. announced we ended up moving a freaking nuclear submarine over there last year. Reading Rambo, thoughts on co-streaming on conservative-friendly Rumble? Yeah, I could do that. I believe I set up a Rumble channel. So I think Speak the Truth actually has a Rumble channel over there that Rob set up a while ago. So we'll get that up and running. Virginians becoming a true supporter. Good to have you, friend. Very good to have you. Jenny, I think I said your name right. It's either that or Janini. I don't know. My brain's not functioning on all cylinders right now. Thank you guys for becoming true supporters. Thank you guys for everybody that's been donating so far. Let's get back over into talking about why all this crap matters. All right. Israel, like I said, the Tel Sultan neighborhood of Rafah. They ended up finding a bunch of rocket launchers. And you can just identify by the terrain where the IDF is operating based on how well groomed it is. And you can see how all the dust has kind of settled on all of this crap. And you can see where we've got smoke in the distance and everything else. But look at what they found. This is just one of the ones that ends up getting released. I forget how many freaking rocket launchers that they ended up finding over in this area that Hamas had like put into place and everything else. And they have that. Dark Fox says, you mean your brain isn't braining? Yeah, exactly. Chatty. It's crazy Israel is so small yet is dominant to all 7 fronts. Good God. Oh, dude, you haven't even heard it yet. So they're over there knocking all that crap out, right? Taking care of all that. So they're doing good work down inside Rafah. So now we've got confirmation that they're down inside Rafah. We've got confirmation that they're up in the north. We've got confirmation that the Nazarene corridor is secure. We got confirmation that they've gone into Khan Yunis. We've got confirmation that they are moving, and you got civilians that are rising up. This is a very big deal. I went over on Grant Stinchfield last night, over on Stinchfield tonight, and I explained all of this crap, laid it out as best as humanly possible for them. That this is going to be a make or break time for the IDF. Absolutely make or break time for the IDF, because if they screw this up and if they pull back out, if they allow those civilians to get killed that have risen up, that are rising up against Hamas, that are putting their faces on camera, you have these mayors that are putting their faces on camera. That makes them a target if they're not safe and secure. That means that they have faith that the IDF is going to do what it says it's going to do. Now, why didn't all of that occur last year? Well, Bibi came out yesterday and flat out said that the United States was freaking hamstringing them when it came to Iran. Now, why would Bibi be talking about the Biden administration not allowing them to target Iran, and we have the B-2 bombers and all that other crap that moved into the area along with the F-35s and that whole other freaking strike package that the gentleman just laid out, plus nuclear submarines that are likely still in the area? We don't announce where nuclear subs are going. We've got more crap in that area guaranteed right now, ready to blow Iran off the flipping map. And everybody thinks that it's going to go to Yemen, and we're going to be blasting Yemen, believe me. And I would assume that after we open up on Yemen, because I'm going to get into it here in just a minute what the IAEA found, but I'm kind of like hyped up about this because of how ridiculous it is, because it's go time, baby. That's what it is right now. It's go time, and the writing's on the wall. I'm going to assume that we're going to start bombing Yemen a lot. And then I'm going to assume that we end up having a lot of things that end up getting fired out of the Persian Gulf and going into Iran, followed by some strategic bombers and some other strike packages are going to move into the area and just start bombing the crap out of them because of what I'm about to tell you here in just a minute. I'm so pumped about this, man. I'm so pumped to tell you guys about this. But I did promise you that I got some airstrikes coming out of Gaza. So let's take a look at one of these airstrikes. I'm going to give you guys an earball warning on all of these videos before I put them on. Are you ready? Ears, ladies and gentlemen, ears. Airstrikes, bombs are loud. I did turn down the volume. Everybody calm down. There is a limiter. Oh, I see somebody asking me about Sarah Adams down there. Oh, good God, hurt civilian. We'll talk about that in a minute. I'm not going to try to defame her, but I am just going to speak some really brilliant facts to you about some of the stuff that I think is fear-mongering that she's pushing. That's my personal assessment. I feel like she's fear-mongering, and I base it on a couple different things. Talk about that in a minute. Again, we've got more stuff coming out of Gaza. Now, you notice that it's one video today and one video yesterday that I was able to find about bombs dropping, and they're not like pre-staged videos. Like they're not. These cameras aren't being set up on tripods, anything like that. So I assess and I step back, and I still think that the IDF is not warning civilians in Gaza before these bombs drop. That's a huge, huge change. Clearly, we're able to get information out of there, right? Clearly, videos are about, like getting posted, and we know all of it's going on, but we end up seeing like aftermath of strikes and everything else. And so it's my opinion that the IDF is no longer giving them warnings before some of these bombs start dropping on these terror targets. Look at this. Look at this. They're bombing the crap out of them. They're doing a good job, and not a lot of information is getting released on it. Hurt Citizen, I got you, bro. Got you. Bro or broette. I don't know, but I got you. Don't worry about it. I know I'm going to forget, so I'm just going to tell you about it. She says that there is I believe she describes it as a quote-unquote invisible bomb. And I went into a space over on Twitter where she was speaking about it and came up on the panel, and I explained to her that there is no such thing. And she says, she's like, basically brings up, no, this bomb is undetectable. I don't want to misquote her. I'm just going the best of my recollection. That's it. And then she points out, well, metal detectors can't pick up on him. I'm like, that's interesting because that's not how those work, but let's keep going. How many metal detectors are you flying through over here in the United States of America? All right, when you go to fly, how many of you guys are going through metal detectors? Vast majority of you probably aren't. You're going through those body scanners and they're all changing. Not to mention there's other tech that's inside of some of those metal detectors that most people aren't even aware of. Those body scanners that you guys go through, they're picking up changes in density, and it's absolutely going to show that. Absolutely. It would show that. X-rays and all that other crap. It's going to show it. Then we take it to another step when we get in there. And we start talking about the dogs that are within the airports and everything else. And TSA has stepped up security because of all of this crap that's going on over inside of the Middle East. Right now, the USA is a prime target, ladies and gentlemen. Prime target. About a year and a half ago, I went to a meeting with the TSA over at DFW Airport. Really interesting to talk to those guys. Back when I was doing security consulting and things like that. Really interesting to talk to those guys and see the different stuff that they were up to. All right. But it is a very, very big issue. So the IDF is like slamming the crap out of Gaza. They're doing a good job. They're moving. They're not going to come back out. They have like semi-permanent structures rumored that are being built right now. There's no pictures of these things yet, but they're going to come out. And those semi-permanent structures, plus the rise of the civilians coming up, signify, tell you, point that is what's going on. They're going to start like identifying political figures. They're going to start like as soon as security gets locked down, all of this crap's happening. That's what you're seeing over inside Gaza. Now let's put this up there. U.S. General yesterday over inside Congress, General Anthony Cotton. He is the head of U.S. Strategic Command. And he told the Senate that Tehran reduced breakout time from 10 to 15 days to presumably less than a week. And last year, when I first brought up those 135 new centrifuges being put online by the IAEA, this is exactly what they're talking about. So those centrifuges have been up and spinning, but it gets even better when we start pulling this up. I told you guys the IAEA dropped a brand new report. Let me get it up on the screen so you guys can go look it up. They dropped a brand new report. Boom. Right here. February 26th of 2025. February 26th, 2025, the IAEA ends up dropping this report. It's a big deal. Let's talk about some of the things that are in there. I'm not going to kill you with the amount of freaking pages on this PDF, but what I am going to do is I'm going to go over some of the key things that it says, because those key things that it says are very important for you to remember. Number one, you need to remember that Iran is a signatory to the Nuclear Proliferation Treaty, or the NPT. You're going to hear me reference that here in a sec. They're a signatory to the NPT. And last year, the IAEA, who goes over and inspects these different sites that Iran is supposed to be announcing to everybody and letting the international community know what they're doing with their nuclear capabilities and what they're doing with all this crap. And Iran saying, no, it's for energy. It's for this. It's for that. Yeah. Turns out they've been lying. Dakota coming in with $4.99. He says, I got pulled aside for a passport being in my hoodie I was wearing. Those scanners be sensitive. Nailed it. Nailed it. Not to mention what's going through. If you guys haven't seen and like stopped and seen the TSA agents and like the different bags and the way they screen them and what they're doing inside and out, they're being very, very critical of those bags right now. Very critical. They're doing it for a reason. So here's what the IAEA report actually says, and I summarized it for you because I'm not going to go through and read all this crap. But the main thing that it ends up pointing out, all right, that is very, very important, is that there is several sites over in Iran that show signs of human enriched uranium. Two main sites over inside of Iran, according to this IAEA report, where they have not announced, Iran has not told the international community that they were enriching uranium. And yet there is traces of human enriched uranium at those sites. That's a pretty big deal. That is a pretty big deal. These locations are Varman and Turkesbad. I haven't even bothered looking them up on the map because I didn't have time, but we can put them in there. Let's go take a look. Turkesbad. Let's take a look because I'm wondering if these locations are going to end up aligning with where Israel and the United States and everything else. So let's take a look at that one location. Let's put that up on the map. Turkesbad. There's a site somewhere around here. Let's see where that's at. Oh, what do you know? It's right outside of Tehran. Wouldn't you know it? So that's one location where they're doing that crap. Right outside of Tehran. Y'all see that? Turkesbad. Let's go bring up this other site. Varman. Let's get this up on the map for you guys so you can see this other location. Oh, what do you know? What do you know? Also, right outside of Tehran. Why, oh, why, in these locations, do you have any nuclear signature whatsoever, any enriched uranium? Al Jazeera should be canceled. Yeah, you and me both agree there. It shouldn't be. They shouldn't be enriching uranium this close to these freaking population centers. They shouldn't. Where's that other one? It was like right down here, right? Varman. There we go. Look at how close that is. Look at the population centers right outside of there. There's Varman. Why are they doing it? Ladies and gentlemen, we don't know. Shouldn't be, but they are. So the IAEA ends up pointing this out. And then we have U.S. intelligence estimates that are coming out saying, hey, this is bad. And then we like, hey, they're like 1 week out. And they've been threatening over the last several weeks, shouting death to America, death to Israel, so on and so forth. And we've got the strategic bombers. We have all those other capabilities that we ended up laying out. Israel is being blasted by the ballistic missiles. And oh, by the way, the warning that we ended up giving to Iran, that warning expires very, very soon, in the next couple of days. Tell them that they need to stop with the Houthis. They need to stop with the ballistic missiles. Ayatollah's been rather quiet. Normally he's pretty loud, but he's been rather quiet these last couple of days. So yeah, you guys want to sit back and you want to think that those B-2s and everything is just going after frickin' Yemen? Mm-mm. And I bet you Israel is going to take part in this too. If you guys think it's just going to be Yemen, I think you got another thing coming. And here's the catch. We can't just bomb one or two locations when we do this. We have to go hard and we have to go freaking fast. Why? If we were to even talk about some of the known nuclear sites, the known nuclear locations where like Iran's doing all this crap. I mean, dude, last time that they were doing this, we ended up seeing strikes down in Isfahan. We ended up seeing strikes up over here in the north, over by Tabriz, outside of Tehran, all of these different locations. But the ballistic missiles, as far as we know, that Iran has, would have to pretty much be fired right in line over here in order to go over and reach Israel, right? From this general vicinity, this general location. And all of those sites that I just ended up outlining for you, those two new ones included, are somewhere around there. They're going to want to move all those. Abby says Ramadan ends on Saturday, just saying. Brandon Cook coming in gifting out 5 Speak the Truth memberships. Yeah, I said Friday. The day before Ramadan ends. I can absolutely see that happening. And that stupid ass mosque, and I joked about it, but it's absolutely true. I forget that name of the mosque in Iran where they wave the red flag of revenge and all other stuff. And I said that's a terror communication, right? So technically under international law, you're communicating. IRGC is a foreign terror organization, and they're using the mosque to communicate. Once you use a protected structure for military purposes, it is no longer a protected structure. I seriously hope that sucker gets leveled. Monique Neal coming in gifting out 10 Speak the Truth memberships. Ladies and gentlemen, it is going to get spicy. I am literally like clinging to the news on a daily basis over here to check out and see what's going on. Over in Germany, by the way, while we have the map pulled up over here in Germany, all right, we ended up having what is easily perceived to be another terror attack last night. People just running over mofos in their car. Hold my Quran. It's going down, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you guys understand that. I'm going to go up over into the Discord. And I'm going to take some questions from y'all. If y'all got questions, I want to hear about them. I'm going to go up over there. We're going to go live session. If you're a brand new True supporter, go up over to our post. You'll see a link to the Discord. If you're a True supporter, you'll be able to see it. If you're not a True supporter, you're not going to be able to see it. If you guys DM me and ask me for the link, I just told you where it's at. I'm not just going to be handing out. It's like one of the benefits for you guys. Plus, it allows me to know who's actually coming in here. At least it's like, what, $5 a month? It's like the price of a coffee. That's it. For you guys to be able to come in. I think it's a great freaking deal. We have an amazing community. There's nothing like our freaking Discord community. You guys have been helping everybody out like it's nobody's business. Texas, what up, bro? How's it going, man?
Whoa, good morning. Oh, it's going great. It's just another lovely, beautiful day here. How's it going in Texas?
Texas is gorgeous. Texas is gorgeous today. Yesterday, it was kind of iffy. There was some rain and a couple other things, but today the sun's out and shining. I might even go try to get some sunshine myself, take my shirt off and just go for a run. Yep. Hey, check this out. Kenneth also says, this is public info, declassified. Diego Garcia is able to station B-52s and U-2 spy planes as well. That's freaking rad. Yep.
Those B-52s have like a 7,000 mile range or something, no?
It's insane. I think like, it's somewhere 4 or 5K. Yeah. It might be all the way up there. I mean, we could look it up here in just a sec if you want.
Because I watched a video recently of somebody breaking down when they did the that was the B-2 Lancers. These are the B-52s.
Right.
So I don't know. They do have very, very, very long range. I'll be right back. Sorry, I gotta take a call.
Yeah, 6,000 nautical miles.
How's it going?
So, approximate range of the freaking B-2s up to 6,000 estimated. 6,900 roughly nautical miles. Like I said, we can make a complete loop. What's up, Lols?
Oh, not much, dude. Those sirens today. Oh my God, my kids were at school. I have a 6-year-old and an 11-year-old, and they were fucking going crazy.
Yeah, I'm sorry to hear that.
Oh, yeah. No, actually, you know what? They came home happy. I don't know how. I mean, they're probably just, kind of.
Well, that's a good thing to have, man.
I don't know. But whatever. Well, what you were showing on the stream was a PAX-3. I actually saw them coming out.
Yeah, everybody's reporting it as like ballistic missiles, and I didn't have the time to go through it.
That was me. I'm type viral on YouTube. So if you take a look at those, there's like 4 pictures. If you take a look at one of them, you can see all the English on it.
Yep. That one right there.
I'm not looking right now, but
Oh, I didn't turn on my
there's just
freaking
one.
video. That's my bad.
It looks like I don't see it.
There we go.
Yeah, that one.
Yep.
That I believe that's one of the fins that steer the PAC-3.
Oh, yep.
If you take a look at it, it has a hinge
sure
on
is.
it.
Yep, you can see it. Yes, you can. You're
So
not
it's
lying.
either part of the steering device or there's an actual port that opens up when it's fired. But whatever. I don't want to get into too many details about the PAC-3.
No, that's fine.
However, Israel's getting rid of them.
Really?
Because David Sling is going to be manufactured in the U.S. with Israeli technology. And that's going to be the next PAC, the PAC-4.
I heard something about that a while ago. That came out like last year, didn't it?
Yeah. So now that we have Trump, it's going to happen.
Well, right. And I think this is the other reason, right? I think the other reason it's happening is like all of these strikes and everything are taking place. What I was going to say about those uprisings. Yeah. Well, what I was going to say about those uprisings as well that are taking place over inside of Gaza, those couldn't have happened underneath Biden because they were freaking hamstringing them. And like I said, you only get one shot. And so if you're holding up Israel from going into Rafah, if you're holding up Israel.
I know a little bit about what's going on in Gaza right now.
Yeah.
And again, I'm Israeli. I don't get into too much info, but that's not real.
So I've been told that as well. I've been told that it's not real. And the reason I've been told that it's not real has to do with people quoting like snipers and things like that on rooftops. I'm like, it's flipping Gaza, man.
Yeah.
And that the reason they're doing it is so that Israel doesn't go in there.
That pointed it out point blank. No women.
Right.
Right? If
Okay.
Hamas can control the women, they can control the demonstrators.
So you think Hamas is holding all the women captive from going out?
No, well, they're making it look kind of, they're not stupid. People
right.
think, that's
and
Israel's
if I pull
problem.
up, and if I pull up
the
pictures
whole
of
world's problem. They think that the axis of evil is stupid. They're not stupid.
But if I pull up pictures of October 7th, you're going to see the exact same thing.
It's a psyop.
You'll see the exact same demographics if I pull up videos from October 7th in Gaza City.
Not really. You're going to see women.
Mm.
Yep.
All right.
You're going to see women handing out baklava, burning in the streets, opening up shops, while Israelis are
Hold on.
being dragged into the Gaza Strip.
Look, This is one video, right? This is the first one. I pulled it up on the screen. That's
You can't show the ones that, where you see the women because it's too bloody, but.
Well, again, here we go, right? And these are the bulk of them. I don't care at this point because it's important, right? It's important for Israel. If I get a freaking age restriction, it is what it is. Look over here behind it.
Well, of course, Islam. First of all, yeah, we know Islam does not let women do whatever they want, right?
Correct.
That's
They're not going to change that.
Even on October 7th, but now there are absolutely zero women out there.
Well, right.
That does not make sense.
Yes, it does. That's like, just because they're going up against Hamas doesn't mean they're going to change their views as far as a culture are concerned. It makes perfect sense.
Let's say this. I hope you're right.
They didn't give up
wrong,
Islam. They didn't give up Islam, right? They didn't.
No, of course not.
And if their goal, right, was to stop the IDF from doing things, here's the other deal, right? And I'll point out to you the one reason why I think it's true. Are you ready? I'll point out to you the one like blaring reason why I think it's true. If you go up to the northern portion of the Gaza Strip, one of the first places the IDF went into was Beit Lahia, right?
Beit Lahia, yeah.
Or Lahia. Yeah, there we go. I keep calling it Lahia. I feel like it might be a place in Hawaii. Whatever.
That was like one of the Yeah.
Yeah. That was one of the first places that they ended up going in. Those demonstrations started the day after.
Well,
so the IDF was already in there.
You're right and I'm wrong. But
I know for that one particular fact, I'm right. The IDF was in there
I can
first,
tell you
and
that
then that demonstration happened.
the people they had during the releases of the captives,
Mm-hmm.
the crowd they had around there, a lot of the people that were cheering Hamas showed up in the demonstration.
Mm-hmm. Sure.
Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does.
They're not sick of them. Oh, out of the blue?
No, not out of the blue. Remember how I just talked about the intel report from last August where you had 25% that ended up defecting?
It's not true. It can't be true.
Why?
Because Israel doesn't know crap about how many defectors they have, as much as they don't know how many defectors they have.
No,
It's
but that
impossible
letter,
because you got
that
terrorists.
correspondence between that correspondence, I can go look it up if you want me to, because the IDF released it. The correspondence between that battalion commander and Khan Yunis to Sinwar stated that. And on top of that, the casualty numbers aligned and everything else aligned. And if you pay attention to like what was happening on the ground at the time in August, they were in fact starting to run out of munitions and stuff because the Philadelphia corridor got cut off. So they weren't getting all those munitions pouring across the border.
Of course.
So they were hurting.
Of course.
We know that.
They're getting them back right now.
Right. And where did the IDF just go into?
Last week they shot.
It doesn't mean they have them. Now, here's the key, right? So Netanyahu, and this goes into understanding counterinsurgency operations, right? Like a actual counterinsurgency operation goes far beyond wiping people off the face of the planet. And this stuff I've been talking about since October 7th, being like, yo, if Israel is going to do this, like there's no other choice now. It will be an enduring operation. They will have to do this right. But you only get one shot at what's taking place here. And underneath the Biden administration, they wouldn't have had that opportunity. Now, when Israel was over there walking around on the ground all last year, going into these different locations, they're also talking to people that are on the ground. There's key people.
Of course, they're taking them in.
There's key people that they're going to be talking to. The ones that you see here, they're going to be identifying.
One of the big things that I don't hear the media talking about this outside of Israel.
Sure.
One of the things that Israel was trying to do was get like local mobs to fight against Hamas.
Local mobs to do what?
So that might be the begin to fight against Hamas. Tribes.
Well, that's not
different
going to
tribes
happen.
within.
Oh, tribes, sure. And what you're going to end up seeing, because that's how it starts, right? So again, that just goes and validates a little bit more. So these guys
does validate it.
Yes, those tribes, those tribal leaders, right? Those freaking mayors and all of that other crap. But the tribal leaders are going to be the ones that are going to be taking over. But only specific ones. Last year, we saw it kind of start for like a week and then it stopped because there was a power vacuum. And that was like June, I think. June to July is when we saw that.
The biggest vacuum was when Trump decided he was going to build Trump Tower in Gaza. I was laughing my ass off.
Yeah, that's hilarious, right? But in all reality, if they want enduring peace, because Egypt's not going to take them. And we also know that Gaza,
nobody's going to take them.
Right.
Not
and we also, right. And we're not going to turn it straight back over to them. And so the way it works is you take these guys and they got to be responsible. We failed in Afghanistan because we put Hamid Karzai, I believe it was Karzai,
right,
in office first.
Yeah,
that dude was living in Chicago. We ripped him out. I think it was like Fifth Group inserted him into Kabul. And we're like, hey, here's your new president.
No, he was from the south side of Chicago. That's true.
Mm-hmm. So how well do you think that worked out for the Afghan people? Because I heard all about it. So
look at what Julani is doing right now in Syria.
Correct.
Kind of insane. You know, they're a big tribe.
So when you're talking about over here, though, inside Gaza, you have a very isolated population, very, very isolated population, more isolated than Afghanistan, more isolated than Syria. I mean, extremely isolated. The stuff that takes place there is extremely, extremely isolated. There's not going to be a single person from outside of Gaza that you can have to start running this stuff that anybody is going to put faith behind. Because what's going to end up happening is you're going to have a violent overthrow of them and Hamas would come back. So what Israeli intelligence and the Israeli military would have been doing the entire time they're on the ground is identifying those key leaders that they know that they've been vetting, right? And how good is the IDF? Pager bombs, bro. Right? That's how good the IDF is at intelligence. pager bombs.
Well, that's
And
not
so,
IDF.
so all of those people, I understand that. Not Israel. Let's just throw that out there. I'm talking a lot. That's how good the intelligence community is over inside Israel. So all of these key players that they have identified, if you don't think they've been screening their communications, if you don't think they've been double checking and what we call shit testing them to make sure that they are who they say they are, and that they're going to do what they said they're going to do.
Us.
No.
They're shit testing
I'm
us.
trying to explain to you. You don't
ago.
know counterinsurgency operations. I'm trying to explain it to you.
Listen, I
have I missed so far? Have I missed so far on Gaza? Have I missed so far on it? Go ahead.
No, but just listen to me. Look up Unit 504, okay?
Okay.
And I'm not going to say more than that.
Okay. I'll give it a look, you see.
Okay.
Now I've got to finish
a few
explaining.
Weeks ago, wait.
Well, you said you weren't going to say anything more.
October 7th thing. Okay, I'm shutting up. Fine.
You're good. If you want to explain it, go ahead. That's why I started talking. I didn't want to talk over you. You want me to put it up on the screen? What do you want me to do?
No. Go ahead. Talk.
So that's how that whole process starts. And they would have been shit testing them this entire time, monitoring communications and all of that other crap, making sure that they're doing what they say they're going to do and who they are, who they say they are. And so when you have the IDF go into Lahia, why would they rise up afterwards if the goal was to get Israel not to go in there? Why didn't they use this tactic last year?
I agree. But something just doesn't make sense.
Yeah, and I'm trying to explain it to you. I'm trying to explain it to you to make it make sense, right? So those people that are going to rise up, those tribes that are rising up, those people that are doing it, those political figures, let's be honest, that are rising up in those areas, the people will follow them. They won't follow Israel, but they'll follow them. They'll listen to them. That's what they'll do.
Well, if you're
now, if Israel wants, because Bibi said that they're prepared to take over security inside of Gaza for up to 10 years. He said that shit. He said it. But they won't maintain security the whole time. There will be a violent uprising if Israel's just there. The apartheid narrative that's being pushed is going to be 10 times worse. And so they've got to put people in position that are going to be capable, right, of actually winning them over and changing, because you got to change the ideology. This is the problem.
Well, you got to remember another thing.
This is the problem.
Fatigue of war, okay?
The ideology is the problem. I understand. That's what I'm trying to explain to you. The ideology is the problem. So if you were to take all of these people, I've talked about re-education and things like that before, right? Now, typically, when you think about re-education, people look at it as like a bad thing. They're going to picture like concentration camps, throwing people in there and freaking be like, here's a bunch of news. What would happen if Israel put up a giant fence around Gaza and attempted to re-educate everybody? It was like, nobody's going nowhere until y'all understand this shit. It's going to fulfill every single thing in their minds.
Everybody's going to be a lot of apartheid. Yeah.
Right. It wouldn't fix a dang thing. You would have another freaking uprising. Like eventually we'd be back in the same place. And so what they end up doing is they end up working with these folks and they end up putting them in place. And these are the people, because the people will trust them, these are the people that start that narrative. Thoughts turn into words, words turn into actions, right? And it takes time to build that trust. And then when they see the tribal leaders working alongside Israel, the next thing that ends up happening is Israel starts training them and arming them as a legitimate force after everybody's been well vetted. Those are the people that would be running things. Now, at the same time, because guess what? If Israel's going to have an enduring presence and you want this stuff to stop, how many people do you think are going to be coming to Israel and giving them information about Hamas? Because there's going to be pockets of violence that are going to take place, right? They're going to go really underground really fast in the next month.
Well, you got to follow the money.
No,
honestly,
I mean, we're talking about people on the ground at that point, and there can be signal intelligence. You can pull money. Yeah, you can go through all of that crap. But at the end of the day,
what I'm saying.
I'm talking about the people that are out there killing and doing all of those things and recruiting them. Do you think any of those things, do you think you're going to be able to find that individual's location just by following money?
Well, it's a start.
It's a start, but you're never going to find their location. I'm telling you, as somebody that's done targeting before of assholes like we're talking about. You'll get close, maybe general vicinity. We'll take a look at it. This is part of.
I mean, it's 2025, and most of these people move their money on crypto anyway, so you're not following anything.
No. They can't move it on crypto over there.
You've got to
What do
get.
you mean? There's no restrictions on crypto. You can move crypto anywhere you have internet service. There's no restrictions on crypto.
Well,
There's a wallet for everybody. If it's not one service, there's another service. There's no restrictions on
know, but
Okay.
crypto.
Okay. Listen to me
can't.
though. I don't care. Crypto doesn't matter because even if you follow certain amounts of money, you're never going to pinpoint their location. You're not. You have because you have to kill these people. You have to. You either have to kill them, capture them, and throw them in freaking a place like Gitmo and let them get butt raped, right? So you have to do that. And the way you do that, I'm telling you how it works. The way you do that is the civilian population are the ones that end up saying that. Do you think the civilian population is going to be willing to go to the IDF and do that? Not the vast majority of them.
I'm not sure.
I
because
am.
you got to remember.
I am sure. I have dealt with radical Islam. I have
under
lived
Hamas.
amongst these people. I have tried to get intelligence out of them. I have tried to target people just like this. And it was in a less radical environment. No, minus
when you promise
ISIS.
them a better life,
Minus ISIS.
right?
We don't. That's what I'm trying to tell you. Israel's not going to be doing it. That's going to be those leaders that are rising up that do it. And it didn't happen last year because of the Biden administration. Because if Israel would have attempted to do that, or if these people would have attempted to do that, and Israel gets freaking pulled like out of Gaza by Biden, Biden ends up screwing them over, you get one shot at this. You only get one. And if that happened, all those people would get schwacked. They'd all be dead. You and I both know this. And so they've got to have an enduring presence there. That's why I'm talking about the semi-permanent structures and things like that that are getting thrown into Gaza. All of that stuff is necessary. Like it's like a must-have to have all that, right? That way they can keep security.
I'm not saying you're wrong.
I know I'm right.
Not saying you're
it's
wrong.
literally straight out of the counterinsurgency manual. Like what you're seeing is just straight up counterinsurgency operations.
But that's the thing. It hasn't been updated in so long, and people say it's always updated. Blah 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 blah. It's not.
It's a guideline. It doesn't matter. Listen, it's a guideline. It's a guideline.
Well, yeah.
It's not a step-by-step
if you
process.
Follow the guideline, those things you follow the money too.
If you follow the guideline, sure, but you're also talking to a guy that's hunted these assholes. Real world shit, right? So there's a book, and then there's actually how things are done. And then there's gray area that goes in between. And then there's applying all of that. You have to use your dang head and develop a strategy. That's why we have all of these different leaders around the intelligence community, around the military, and so, like all of these different people. Because you can't just take the book and say, I know the book, therefore I don't need these positions. Here you go, do it by the book, right? Intelligence drives operations. Right. It changes things, and you have to adjust them. You have to. And that's what they're doing. That's what you're seeing. People don't want to believe it. But it's that big of a deal.
Well, you know what? Let me put it this way. I'm sorry. When I was a kid, the Oslo Accords happened.
Sure.
Okay. And I used to sit on the bus on my way to school, just waiting for it to blow up.
Sure.
They got Gaza. They got re-education. Well, they got the money to re-educate. They never did re-educate. And nothing's changed.
Yeah.
And then you get another group of people that does the same thing.
I get it. And when you say nothing's changed, what I'm telling you is it did change. I'm telling you October 7th just changed everything. And what Israel is going to do and what Netanyahu is going to do and what the United States is going to do right now, these are all very different things. This isn't the Oslo Accords. You will never get peace and stability via the Oslo Accords. You won't. You have to change minds.
In Israel?
I haven't been following them in the last 2 weeks probably. But I'm telling you right now, human terrain, you have to change minds. You have to change the minds.
Well, that's obvious, but Islam is so, they're scared. I mean, I do not agree that there are no innocent Gazans. I'm not one of those, okay? Just because of 10,000 Gazans marched into Israel on October 7th and looted and killed, doesn't mean there aren't any good Gazans, but they're scared. The good ones are scared.
100%. And when you get scared, you get forced into doing things. You know how many people I've talked to, captured, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, that were forced into fighting?
I know.
That were forced into fighting.
We're doing that already. Trust me.
Right. So,
but
that's what's taking place, man. And people don't want to believe it, even though you state that you know there's good Gazans. Like, at what point do you think they're going to rise up? Because that's what would have to happen.
Probably when they don't have cigarettes. That's kind of the...
When they're out of cigarettes?
Yep.
That's funny. That's actually actually funny.
No,
I get it.
That's, you know what? The, one cigarette at one point in Gaza
was
100 shekels. 100 shekels is about $35.
Right.
Okay?
I get it.
They came up to Israeli soldiers, lifting up their shirts, showing them they were clean of anything.
Right.
Begging for cigarettes. Those are your people. Okay?
I get it.
And those are the people they took in and gave them everything.
I get it. I get it.
But you don't have too many of those.
It takes time for things like that to spread, right?
Not really.
Yes, it does. No, it does. No, it does.
Everybody in the Gaza Strip.
You mean to tell me if you were raised? You mean to tell me if you were raised
giving them out,
brother? You mean to tell me if you were raised inside Gaza and you were taught from the age of 0 all the way up until 16, and you saw bombs dropping and all that other stuff started like happening? Like I've said that if I was born in Gaza, dude, I'd probably be one of the top jihadists that they'd be coming after.
Absolutely.
Because of the way your brain is indoctrinated. The world you're born into is the world that you 100%. Know. Information is control. Knowledge is power. Yeah. So that's what those people are looking at.
By the way, the cigarette thing is a real thing, because we dropped leaflets with a cigarette attached to each leaflet that said, if you want to help and you want more of these, call this number.
Sure. I get it, man.
So,
I get it. And we're going to take care of it, right? Like all of that stuff's going to happen. But I'm telling you, as a counterinsurgency expert, that this is what you're looking at. As a guy that literally spent years of his life being trained in this to do this exact thing that's taking place, I am telling you, that is what's happening. And the only empirical data that everybody else can point out is they don't believe it. And they all think that it's happening to stop Israel from actually going into places, but they're still going in. And again, one of the first locations that Israel went into, that happened afterwards. Correct? Well, you're not going to validate that right now, but yes, that's what happened. As far as I know,
it's correct.
And so that within itself is a signal that that's just not true.
Well, we'll have to wait and see. It's a wait out game, but hopefully, Iran and Yemen get wiped off the map before anything happens. Gaza.
It's going down, dude. I think I've had like one prediction that got wrong. We're going to bomb the living hell out of Yemen. And Iran's next.
Okay. So, if that happens, they're cut off. That's it. No more Hamas.
Correct.
Just like Syria, right? You got Julani over there fighting Hezbollah right now. By the way, Julani, just so you know, actually means Golan, like the Golan Heights.
Mm-hmm.
Julani in Arabic is the Golan Heights. So Julani is fighting Hezbollah right now.
Sure.
And he had his troops open fire at Israelis in El-Qanitra.
Mm-hmm.
And now Hamas are getting pissed off at that. So, I mean, it's all intertwined.
Right.
So you're talking about one little region, right?
Correct. I'm focusing on one little region right now. About Jelani, that's a whole other discussion. That's a whole other discussion, brother. That's a whole other discussion. Because now we're talking about...
it's not.
It is.
It's the axis of evil.
Listen. Again, it is. It's also not a battle of physical, but human terrain, right? How many times have you heard me say that? It's not a battle of physical,
Right.
but human terrain. How big of a population difference is it, people-wise, mentality-wise, between what's happening in Gaza
Between
and
what?
what's happening in Syria and what's happening in Lebanon?
It's a huge difference.
Thank you. And so if you want to solve those problems, you've got to start with the population because that's where everybody's coming from. And it is a
And
generational issue. And generational issues don't get solved by dropping bombs. I hate to say it.
No, they don't. You get over them by taking over countries, but whatever. Alexander the Great isn't called Alexander the Great for nothing.
Yeah. Well, hey, brother, I'm out of time. I actually had, I don't know.
And
if-
I took up all your time. So
No, it's all right, man. But I gotta make a phone call because I'm getting booked for a huge show next week that everybody's gonna be really excited about. So I've got to let you guys go so I can get a hold of that producer and make that happen. He just tried calling me. I should have been off about 5 minutes ago. So I need to do that. He just tried calling me, so I gotta go. I want to make sure you guys get some great freaking stuff going on. But thank you very much for coming in because you're an intelligent guy. Texas, thank you for hanging out, man. If you guys want to leave it open, but I gotta drop. I'm sorry. And then I
No, you're fine.
And then I gotta think blip. It's just one of those days, man. Love you guys.
You're fine.
I know.
Cheers.
No, Texas, you're a fine man. You're fine, Texas.
Hey.
All right, I got to give a shout out to Blip. Blip just came in and dropped $100. And he said, I know this video isn't about Ukraine. I'm elated. The exaggerated fears that Trump would jerk the rug out from under the Ukrainians. Those turned out to be false. I love your channel, Matt. All my best to you and your family. Thank you, brother. Seriously. And I'm happy that I was able to sit there and be like, guys, wait a sec here. Like, take a look at what's actually going on. And now that we're pointing out these different things that are happening, everybody's able to start seeing that. It's great. You guys are finally starting to see how things actually work in this world. This is a great example of what we were just talking about. So, ladies and gentlemen, I got to take off. Like I said, I got to make that phone call. Peace, love, happiness. God bless. I will be back.